My birthing experience was actually different than my previous two pregnancies. I had actually pre-planned to deliver at a hospital that was about 45 minutes from my house. My contractions actually started, they were about an hour apart for the first 2 hours, maybe 45 minutes apart for the next two, and then it quickly jumped from 20 minutes apart to about a minute apart within an hour. So immediately, kind of had to figure out what to do. My body kind of just did the rest of it and just told my husband, was on the phone with the ambulance. They told him to tell me to not push, but that wasn't gonna happen. It was probably a matter of about 2 to 3 minutes from me feeling the baby's head crowning to me just saying I was gonna push the baby out. During this pregnancy, I do not feel like my medical needs were met by my medical providers. I actually did have to switch OBGYNs because I felt like my provider wasn't listening to me. I felt like I was being stereotyped. I was still recovering from postpartum depression from the previous baby, and then now going into a whole new onset of anxiety and stress because I didn't want to have these same, experiences, postpartum. And, as I'm relaying this stress to my doctor, I felt like a lot of the responses were like, oh, well, stress is normal, or pretty much kind of brushing them off. There was a point in time where I actually had to involve my doula as well as my mom at a doctor's appointment because I suffered from really, really bad allergies and asthma issues. So I was, taking my asthma medication more than normal, as well as having continuous breathing issues, and the response from the OBGYN was that the cause of it was because I was pregnant. Thankfully, my doula was there to kind of step in, request a referral because, you don't normally hear that because you're pregnant, now you're having asthma attacks. But it was to the point where I was having frequent asthma attacks. So I do not feel like my medical provider was as attentive as she could have been. Once they did switch my provider over, I felt like I would be more comfortable with a provider who could not only relate to me ethnically, but of course, gender-wise. So I ended up finding an African-American OBGYN. And from that point on, I do feel like I had a lot more personalized help with, my health concerns. I do feel that the Her Health First program has been extremely helpful in the emotional support of the postpartum issues I was dealing with. Also giving those resources to be able to have a doula, because that's something that prior to, I've heard about. So this was a great, great benefit, being able to have something like that, in the community for women of color.